Hello everyone. Today we'll be carrying out a small discussion on the application of a proportion defective chart or a fraction defective chart, popularly known as P chart, in statistical quality control. Basically, we'll be discussing about how to employ or apply a P chart in order to determine whether a given process is under statistical control or not. Now let us consider one example. Let us discuss the application of P chart through an example. Now let us consider this one. Table 1 shows the number of defectives found on 8 consecutive production days in daily samples of 200 items. You have been asked to construct a suitable control chart to verify whether the given production process is under control or not. Now, basically, the data given to you or data provided to you is like this. The name of the first row is production day, and the name of the second row is number of defectives. See, production day means nothing but sample number, because already in the given question they have mentioned that daily samples have been collected. That means each day one sample has been collected. So each production day means one sample. So these are nothing but sample numbers. This is sample number 1, sample number 2, sample number 3, sample number 4, sample number 5, sample number 6, sample number 7 and sample number 8. That's why they have told that 8 consecutive production days in daily samples. So all these are basically sample numbers. Now, next is the number of defectives. Now what they have told here, what they have mentioned here, in daily samples of 200 items, that means the number of specimens in each sample, the number of specimens in each of these samples is 200, right? That means in sample 1 200 specimens are been inspected. In case of sample 2 also the same number of specimens, that is 200 specimens have been inspected. In case of sample 3 also 200 specimens have been inspected, and so on till sample number 8. Now what are this? Basically number of defectives. This means that the value of number of defectives for sample 1, for sample number 1 is 10. This means that out of 200 specimens inspected, 10 specimens have been found as defective specimens in case of sample 1. In case of sample 2, out of 200 specimens inspected, not a single specimen has been found as defective specimen. In case of sample number 3, out of 200 specimens inspected, 10 specimens have been found as defective specimens. So all these values are the values of number of defective specimens in a particular sample, right? Now the moment we find this thing, number of defectives, either number of defects or number of defectives, defective or defect, this is nothing but an attribute. So the control chart which we need to use is definitely, or rather it should be, a control chart for attributes. We know that there are 3 types of control charts for attributes. One is P chart, which is for proportion or fraction of defectives. The next one is NP chart, which is for number of defectives, and the third one is C chart, which is for number of defects. Now in this case number of defects is not mentioned. In this case number of defectives is mentioned. So we can either go for P chart or we can go for NP chart. Now see what is written here. In this problem, the number of specimens in each sample is 200, and we know that this 200 is nothing but the sample size, which is always denoted by small n. This is the standard notation for the number of specimens in each sample, that is sample size. And the total number of samples is equal to 8. Let us denote the total number of samples by small k. Say, see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are total 8 samples as far as this problem is concerned. Now, we know that number of defectives is nothing but n into p. Number of defectives is nothing but n into p, which is already given in the question for each of the given samples. Now, how to find out the value of p? P is nothing but fraction of defectives or proportion of defectives in each sample. See, if we divide this np by n, then automatically we will get the value of p. Then automatically we can get the value of p. Now, what is n? N is the total number of specimens in each sample. And we know that for this problem, the number of specimen for each sample is same, which is given as 200, this one. If we divide this np by this n for each sample, then we will be able to get the value of this p for each sample. For example, for sample 1, the value of np is 10, that is total number of defective items is 10 out of how many items? Out of 200 items or 200 specimens. That 200 is nothing but the sample size of this sample, and that sample size is nothing but n. So this np, that is 10, divided by this n, that is 200. If we perform this division, we will be getting the value of p for sample number 1, and that only we have done to get this value of proportion of defective, that is p for sample number 1. We have found out the value of p for all other samples in the same way as I have discussed just now. In the same way, for example, for sample number 2, I have divided this np value, that is 0, by the total number of specimens present in this sample, which is nothing but 200, n, that is sample size 200. 0 by 200 is 0. Similarly, 10 divided by 200 is 0.05, 12 divided by 200 is 0.06, 11 divided by 200 is 0.055, and so on. Now, next, we need to find out the value of p bar. We need to find out the value of p bar. See, p bar is nothing but it is the average of all the p values of all the samples. See, the mathematical expression to be used for finding out the value of p bar is this one. P bar is summation of p divided by total number of samples. Total number of samples is nothing but k. So p bar is nothing but summation of p divided by k. Now, summation of p means summation of all the values, all the p values which we have obtained so far. I mean, summation of p value of sample number 1, summation of p value for sample number 2, summation of p value for sample number 3, summation of p, not summation basically, kindly excuse me, the p value for sample number 1 plus p value for sample number 2 plus p value for sample number 3 plus p value for sample number 4 plus p value for sample number 5 plus p value for sample number 6 plus the p value for sample number 7 plus p value for sample number 8. This whole summation, this entire summation divided by total number of samples, which is 8 for this problem. This will give us the value of p bar for this problem. Why we need this value of p bar? We need this value of p bar in order to find out the values of the control limits. That means the upper control limit, the lower control limit, and the central line for a p chart. Now, we know that the upper control limit of a p chart can be computed using this expression, this mathematical expression. P bar plus 3 into root over of p bar into 1 minus p bar divided by n. So, what we can see from this mathematical expression, in order to find out the upper control limit for the p chart, that is UCL for the p chart, we require the value of p bar, which already we have found out here. We have already found out the value of p bar here, which is 0.0469. So for finding out the value of the upper control limit of a p chart as well as the lower control limit of a p chart, we require the value of p bar and small n. Small n is sample size, which is 200 for this problem, as given in the question, right? And for finding out the value of the central line, again we require the value of p bar, which already we have found out as 0.0469. So all these the parameters required here, the values of all the parameters required here have either been found out by us or is mentioned in the question, given question. So by using those values, we can find out the values of the upper control limit, central line, and the lower control limit of a P chart, and that's what we have done here. The value of upper control limit is coming out to be 0.0917. The value of the central line is coming out to be 0.0469, and the value of the lower control limit is coming out to be 0.0021. Next, using these values, next we will be constructing a P chart. See, the name of the y-axis will be basically the name of the control chart, and this is true for any type of control chart. For any type of control chart, the name of the y-axis should be the name of the chart. Here the y-axis represents the proportion of defectives or fraction of defectives in each sample, and the x-axis represents the sample number. As there are a total of 8 samples in this question, so I have marked the sample. Divided the x-axis into 8 parts: sample number 1, sample number 2, sample number 3, sample number 4, sample number 5, sample number 6, sample number 7, sample number 8. And against each sample number, I have plotted the p value, that is the proportion of defective value against each sample number. Sample number for sample number 1, this is the p value. For sample number 2, this is the p value. For sample number 3, this one is the p value, and so on. And after completing this plot, it can be observed that the p value or proportion of defective value for sample number 2, this one, it is less than the LCL, that is lower control limit of this P chart, and the p value or the proportion defective value for sample number 7, that is this one, it is more than the upper control limit value, that is UCL value of this P chart. And as we know that even if a single value is beyond the UCL or LCL, then the process, or rather the concerned process from which all these samples have been collected, is said to be out of control, and that process may be under the influence of assignable causes of variation, and as a result that process should be stopped immediately for necessary rectifications, so that that process is not allowed to carry on production of defective workpieces further. So this much for today. I hope that the concept of application of P chart in statistical quality control is clear to you by now. So thank you so much for your patient hearing.